Saturday morning. Bliss. The whole glorious weekend stretching ahead, promising sawdust, the smell of wood stain, and the quiet satisfaction of making something with my own 2 hands. Downstairs, in my basement workshop, my sanctuary. My escape hatch from a world of leaking pipes, disputed damages, and people trying to claim their 10-year-old roof failed because of wind. I'm Mark, by the way. By day, I'm a field investigator for OmniGuard Insurance. By night, and more importantly, on weekends, I'm just a guy who likes to build things. Right now, it's a ridiculously intricate dollhouse for my niece. Cherrywood, tiny shingles, the works. Coffee in hand, I head down the basement stairs, already picturing the miniature staircase I need to tackle today. I reach the bottom step, push open the workshop door, take a breath expecting that familiar scent of wood and potential, and nearly gag. Damp, mildew, wrongness. My eyes adjust to the basement light, and my stomach plummets. Water. Not a lot, maybe an inch, still shimmering near the far wall, but the evidence of its passage is everywhere. Cardboard boxes holding screws, sandpaper, and irreplaceable vintage vacuum tubes for an amplifier I was restoring. Sagging. Dark. Ruined. My workbench, solid maple I built myself, has dark water lines halfway up its legs. Tools, my good chisels, my planes. My grandfather's old hand drill scattered on the lower shelves wear a light, sickening bloom of fresh orange rust. The dollhouse. Oh God. The dollhouse sits on a low table, its delicate cherry wood warped, the tiny glued shingles curling like burnt paper. Years of collecting, building, tinkering. My escape, violated, drowned. Disbelief gives way to a cold, sickening fury. I wade into the mess, the squelch of my sneakers echoing in the sudden, awful silence. Where did it come from? It's not the sump pump. That's working fine. I trace the water stains up the drywall near the corner. It's coming from the ceiling, right where the main water supply lines for the condo complex run through the common area utility chase. Right outside my unit. Right where Donna, HOA President Donna, Queen of the Karens, had those sketchy guys digging last week. Landscaping improvements, she'd called it. Ripping out perfectly healthy azaleas to plant beige rocks, probably. I remember seeing them hacking away near this exact spot. I remember thinking, hope they know where the water main is. I remember even mentioning it to Donna, politely suggesting they call 811 before digging. Nonsense, Michael, she'd sniffed, adjusting the ever-present laminated badge on her pastel cardigan. It's just surface work. Besides, the HOA's approved vendor knows exactly what they're doing. The approved vendor looked like 2 guys she picked up outside a home improvement store, driving a pickup truck held together with duct tape and wishful thinking. So, she did this. Her cheapskate corner cutting, her refusal to listen, her damn beige rocks. It flooded my sanctuary. The rest of the weekend is a blur of wet vacs, fans, dragging ruined projects to the dumpster, and meticulous documentation. Phone out, photos, videos, close-ups of the water source, detailed inventory of damaged tools, materials, projects. The investigator in me kicks in automatically, even as the hobbyist grieves. I call a water damage restoration company, ServPro, guys I know from work are decent, to schedule an assessment for my place. This is going to cost thousands. Money and time I don't have. Anger simmers, cold and hard. She is going to pay for this. Monday morning, May 12th, 2025. I drag myself into the OmniGuard office, smelling faintly of basement funk and righteous indignation. I haven't even finished my first cup of coffee when Henderson, my boss, perpetually stressed, tie always slightly askew, waves me into his glass-walled office. "Morning, Mark," he says, not looking up from a stack of files. Got a new one for you. Urgent. Need eyes on it today if possible. He slides a thin blue folder across the desk. Water damage claim. HOA president over at Oakwood Villas condominiums. Donna Devereaux. My blood freezes. Oakwood Villas. Donna. The address. It's my complex. Her name. She's claiming a pipe burst in a common utility area over the weekend. Henderson continues, oblivious to the small Hindenburg disaster currently happening in my chest. Says it caused significant damage to common area landscaping. Maybe some drywall damage inside the utility chase, threatening foundation integrity. You know the drill. Sounds like she might be angling for a full pipe replacement job on the HOA's dime. Go check it out, see what's legit. Apparently, she's already demanding emergency remediation and sounds, particularly difficult. He finally looks up. You okay, Mark? You look a little green. I stare at the file. Donna Devereaux, claiming water damage from the exact incident. The incident she almost certainly caused. The incident that destroyed my workshop. And Henderson just assigned me to investigate her claim. The universe, it seems, has a sick, twisted sense of humor. My mind races. Recuse myself. Tell Henderson it's my building, my HOA president, the woman whose negligence just cost me thousands in personal property and irreplaceable time? That's the professional thing to do. The ethical thing. Or is this fate? A chance? A perfectly legal, professionally sanctioned opportunity to turn my meticulous, pain-in-the-ass investigator skills loose on the person directly responsible for my current misery. To scrutinize her claim, document her negligence, and potentially deny her payout based on the very facts she created? The thought sends a jolt of something dark and satisfying through me. Yeah, fine, Henderson, I manage, picking up the file. It feels heavier than it should. Oakwood Villas, Donna Devereaux. Got it. I'll head over there this afternoon. Back at my desk, I open the file. Standard Accord Loss Notice Form. Donna's flowery, indignant handwriting details the catastrophic failure of the clearly ancient common area plumbing, leading to extensive saturation of valuable HOA landscaping and potential structural compromise. No mention, of course, of any recent digging nearby. No mention of ignoring resident warnings. And definitely no mention of flooded basements in adjacent units. The internal battle rages. Investigator Mark knows the protocols, the ethics, the need for impartiality. Workshop Mark, currently mourning the loss of a half-built mahogany bookshelf and a perfectly restored 1950s tube radio, wants blood, or at least a well-documented claim denial citing specific policy exclusions for negligence. Investigator Mark wins. For now. I have a job to do. And, ironically, doing my job thoroughly on her claim is the best way to uncover the truth about my damage. Time to put on the OmniGuard polo shirt and the professional mask. I call Donna Devereaux. Donna Devereaux speaking, HOA President's Office, she answers, her voice dripping with self-importance. Miss Devereaux, I say, shifting into my calm, neutral investigator voice. This is Mark Thompson calling from OmniGuard Insurance. I've been assigned as the field investigator for your recent water damage claim, number 12,345 inches. Oh, finally, she exclaims. It's about time. The damage is extensive, young man, simply extensive. Those old pipes finally gave way, just like I warned the board they would. The HOA expects OmniGuard to handle this promptly and cover the full cost of repairs and necessary upgrades. I understand, Miss Devereaux, I reply smoothly. My role is to assess the scope of the covered damages according to your policy. I'd like to schedule a time to come inspect the area, take some photographs, and discuss the incident with you. Would later this afternoon work? Yes, 3 p.m. sharp. Meet me at the West Common area near Units 10 and 12, and bring your checkbook, she adds imperiously before hanging up. Units 10 and 12. My unit is 11. Right between them, sharing that utility chase wall. Perfect. At 3 p.m. sharp, I pull up. Donna is waiting, arms crossed, tapping her foot, clipboard miraculously already in hand. She gives me a cursory glance, clearly not recognizing me out of context. I'm just the anonymous insurance guy now. "You're Thompson?" she asks brusquely. "All right, let's get this over with. As you can see," she gestures dramatically towards a patch of damp mulch and a slightly sad-looking rhododendron. "The destruction is catastrophic. This entire bed will need to be replaced. The soil is saturated. And look at this wall!" She points to a faint water stain on the exterior stucco of the utility chase, barely visible. Potential structural damage. Mold is likely already growing. I pull out my camera, my moisture meter, my inspection checklist. Time to work. "Okay, Miss Devereaux, can you walk me through exactly when you first noticed the water?" She launches into her narrative. A dramatic tale of discovering the flood Saturday afternoon, the heroic efforts of the unnamed, uninsured landscapers to try and mitigate the damage, the clear failure of the building's ancient plumbing. I listen politely, nodding, taking notes. "And was any work being done in this specific area recently, Miss Devereaux? Any digging, planting, sprinkler adjustments?" She waves a dismissive hand. "Oh, just some minor volunteer tidying up last week. Nothing that would affect the main pipes. They're buried deep. This was clearly an internal failure. Age-related." "Volunteers?" I ask, keeping my tone neutral. "So, not a licensed contractor, support." "They were perfectly capable community members," she snaps defensively, "performing approved beautification work. It has nothing to do with this pipe bursting." "I see," I murmur, taking a photo of the disturbed earth right next to the water stain, the earth where the volunteers were digging. I use my moisture meter on the wall she indicated. Surface dampness, minimal penetration, nothing suggesting a catastrophic internal pipe failure that would saturate soil 10 feet away. "I'll need to bring in a certified plumber, Miss Devereaux," I say, making a note. "Standard procedure to verify the cause and origin of the leak and assess the condition of the pipes." "Fine, fine," she huffs, "but make it quick. And make sure they understand the urgency of replacing this outdated plumbing before the entire building collapses." I spend the next hour meticulously documenting the actual scene. Minor mulch displacement, the sad rhododendron, the superficial stucco stain. Then, I take photos of the surrounding area. The recently disturbed soil. The proximity to sprinkler heads that look suspiciously tampered with. The slight depression leading directly towards the foundation vent of my unit. My professional mask is firmly in place, but underneath, Workshop Mark is compiling Exhibit A. The next day, I schedule the plumber. I use Apex Plumbing, one of our preferred vendors. Good guys, thorough, no nonsense. I meet the plumber, Jones, on site. Donna pointedly stays inside her unit, watching through the blinds. "All right, Jones," I say, giving him the rundown. "Claimant says old pipe burst spontaneously. Need you to inspect this whole section of the supply line. Check the pipe itself, joints, valves. Determine cause and origin." Jones gets to work. He checks pressures, uses listening devices, carefully excavates a small area around the pipe joint near where the digging happened. After about an hour, he waves me over. "Okay, Mark," he says, wiping his hands on a rag. "Pipe itself is older galvanized, but it's solid for its age. No signs of imminent failure. Pressure's normal." He points down into the small hole he dug. "But look right here. See this joint fitting? And see these score marks on the side of the pipe leading into it?" I lean closer. Clear scrapes like teeth from a shovel or a pickaxe glanced off it. "And this joint," Jones continues, pointing to a hairline crack weeping a tiny bit of residual moisture. "It's got a fresh stress fracture. consistent with a significant impact right here. He taps the scored area, from digging equipment hitting this lateral line. Shovel, small pick, maybe even a poorly aimed sprinkler head installation. Definitely wasn't spontaneous. This thing got whacked, probably last week sometime, started a slow weep, and then finally let go over the weekend under pressure. That's your leak. Bingo, internal fist pump. Excellent work, Jones, I say calmly. Write that up clearly in your report, will you? Photos, diagrams, the whole 9 yards. Emphasize the external impact as the primary cause. Will do, Jones nods. Standard stuff when landscapers don't know what's underground. As Jones packs up, I see Mrs. Peterson, my elderly neighbor from Unit 13, walking her little poodle. Perfect timing. Mrs. Peterson, I call out, walking over. Quick question for my investigation, if you have a moment. Oh, hello, Mark, dear, she smiles. Investigating all this mess? Terrible shame about your workshop, I heard. Donna was telling everyone it was just old pipes, but I saw those boys she hired digging right here last Thursday, making a terrible racket, nearly took out my prize rose bush. Did you happen to notice anything specific, Mrs. Peterson, about the digging? Well, she lowers her voice conspiratorially. They certainly didn't look like professionals. One of them almost fell in the hole he was digging. And I told my Harold, I said, Harold, they're digging awfully close to those sprinklers Donna had rerouted last year without telling anyone. Always cutting corners, that one. More gold. Witness corroboration of shoddy work. Unauthorized sprinkler modifications near the leak source. Thanks, Mrs. Peterson. That's very helpful. Anything to help, dear. Hope they catch who really caused all this trouble. She pats my arm and walks off. The next day, Donna calls my office line, her voice sharp. Mr. Thompson, what is the meaning of this? Why are your experts digging holes? Why are you bothering my neighbors with intrusive questions? This is a simple pipe failure. Just conducting a thorough investigation, Miss Devereaux, I reply evenly. Standard operating procedure to confirm the cause of loss before proceeding with the claim. Well, be quick about it, she snaps, and I expect your report to confirm the HOA's position. My report will reflect the facts found during the investigation, Miss Devereaux, I say coolly. I'll be in touch when it's complete. I hang up, a grim smile playing on my lips. The facts. Yes, the facts are indeed what I will be reporting. Armed with Jones's report and Mrs. Peterson's informal statement, I consider filing that police report about my own damages. Maybe later. Right now, the insurance file is my weapon of choice. It's time to write up my findings on Donna's claim. I spend the next few hours compiling everything. Photos of the minimal common area damage versus the extensive damage in my basement, keeping those separate for now. But the timeline photos are damning. Jones's expert report explicitly citing external impact from digging as the cause. My notes from Donna's contradictory statements. Notes from Mrs. Peterson. Cross-referencing Donna's claim details against the policy language, specifically exclusions for negligence, faulty workmanship by third parties, unpermitted work. It's all there. A neat, undeniable case for denial. The only question left is the delivery. Do I just mail the denial letter, citing the findings professionally and impersonally? Or do I schedule one final meeting? Give her the news face-to-face? Let her see the investigator who holds her claim's fate in his hands, right before she realizes he's also the victim of her negligence? Professionalism dictates the impersonal letter, but the thought of that face-to-face, it's just too tempting. Workshop Mark needs this closure. I call her office line. Miss Devereaux, Mark Thompson from OmniGuard. I've completed my investigation and report regarding claim hash 12,345. I'd like to schedule a brief meeting to go over the findings with you in person. Would tomorrow afternoon work? Yes, fine. she says impatiently. My office, 2 p.m. And I trust this report finalizes the settlement? It finalizes the investigation, Miss Devereaux, I reply. We'll discuss the conclusion tomorrow. Game time. I arrive at the HOA clubhouse office at 2 p.m. on the dot. Donna is behind a large, imposing desk, looking impatient. My file sits neatly in my briefcase. Mr. Thompson, she begins without preamble. Let's make this quick. I assume you have the settlement check? I sit down, open my briefcase, and pull out the file, laying it deliberately on the desk between us. Miss Devereaux, I start, keeping my voice level, professional. I've completed my comprehensive investigation into HOA claim hash 12,345 concerning the reported water damage originating from the common area supply line adjacent to units 10 through 12. Yes, the pipe burst, she waves impatiently. Ancient infrastructure. Actually, no, I say, sliding Jones's plumbing report across the desk towards her. Our investigation, including expert analysis from Apex Plumbing, conclusively determined the leak was not due to pipe failure, age, or internal defect. She stares at the report, her eyes narrowing. What? Then what caused it? The leak originated, I continue, tapping a highlighted section of the report, from a stress fracture on a joint fitting caused by recent significant external impact. The damage is consistent with digging equipment, such as a shovel or pickaxe, striking the lateral line. I pause, letting it sink in. Specifically, the type of digging witnessed by neighbors during the unpermitted landscaping work you commissioned and oversaw last week. Donna's face flushes. That's ridiculous. Conjecture. Those volunteers were careful. It must have been ground settling. Or, furthermore, I cut her off smoothly, turning a page in my copy of the report. Your HOA policy, under Section C, subsection 4B, explicitly excludes coverage for damages resulting from faulty, inadequate, or defective workmanship, repair, construction, renovation, or remodeling. I also point to another exclusion. As well as negligence of the insured or any party operating under the direction of the insured resulting in a loss, and work performed in violation of local ordinances or HOA guidelines requiring permits or committee approval which were not obtained. She stares at the policy language, then back at me, sputtering. This is outrageous! An outrage! I'll appeal! I'll sue Omnigard! I lean forward slightly, dropping the professional veneer just enough for her to see the ice underneath. And Donna, I say, my voice quiet now. The reason I was able to pinpoint the exact timeline of the leak, the water's trajectory, the specific point of impact on that pipe so precisely, I hold her gaze, is because that water didn't just damage your precious mulch and stain a bit of stucco. Her eyes widen slightly. Confusion flickers. It flowed downhill, I continue softly, through the foundation vents, directly into my basement unit, Unit 11. It destroyed my workshop, Donna, my tools, years of my work, my personal property gone, because you hired cheap labor, ignored warnings, and cut corners. The color drains from her face, shock, disbelief. Then horrified comprehension dawns as she finally connects Mark the investigator with Mark the neighbor whose basement just flooded. Her mouth opens and closes like a fish. Therefore, I say, returning to my professional tone, standing up and placing a final document on top of the file, the official denial summary. Based on the conclusive findings of negligence, faulty workmanship by an unapproved third party acting under your direction, and relevant policy exclusions, claim hash 12,345 is, regretfully, denied. I pick up my briefcase. you will receive the formal denial letter with all supporting documentation via certified mail within 5 to 7 business days. Have a pleasant day, Miss Devereaux. I walk out, leaving her sitting there amidst the wreckage of her claim and her authority, utterly speechless. The professional in me feels a quiet satisfaction at a job well done, a claim correctly assessed. The workshop owner in me? He feels the grim, satisfying chill of perfectly documented, policy-compliant karma. The aftermath is almost anticlimactic. I file my own claim against the HOA's liability policy, submitting my meticulous documentation and the plumber's report. Given Donna's documented negligence and the undeniable source of the water, the HOA's carrier settles relatively quickly, though not without some grumbling. It doesn't cover everything. The time lost, the sentimental value, but it's enough to start rebuilding. I hire ServPro, the guys I trust, to handle the restoration, gutting the damaged drywall, drying everything out, treating for mold. It's a slow, depressing process watching ruined pieces of my hobby get hauled away in trash bags. Some tools are salvageable after cleaning, others are goners. The dollhouse is a write-off. Word gets around Oakwood Villas, as it always does. Donna's denied claim, the reason for the denial, Mark from Unit 11's flooded workshop. It all connects. Donna becomes noticeably less visible, her reign of clipboard terror seemingly over. I hear rumors of an emergency board meeting, calls for her resignation. Can't say I'm surprised. Henderson calls me in a week later. "That Oakwood Villas file," he says, looking over his glasses. "Donna Devereaux called corporate screaming bloody murder about your denial. Made all sorts of accusations." He pauses. "Your documentation was airtight, Mark. Textbook denial based on negligence. Good work." He gives me a curious look. "Seemed like you really dug into that one." "Just being thorough, Henderson," I shrug. "Following the facts." He just nods slowly. "Right. Well, keep it up." Months pass. The workshop is rebuilt. New drywall, fresh paint, new workbench stained a deep walnut. Some new tools sit where the old rusted ones were. It's cleaner, maybe better organized, but it lacks the history, the comfortable clutter of before. Some things just can't be replaced. I'm down here now, sketching out plans for a new project. Maybe just some simple shelves first. Break the space in again. It's quiet. Peaceful. The anger has faded, replaced by a weary sort of satisfaction. I didn't yell, didn't scheme for overt revenge. I just did my job. Meticulously. Professionally. And let the facts, the clauses, the documented negligence do the talking. Donna got tangled in her own web of corner-cutting and arrogance, and I just happened to be the guy holding the flashlight and the policy binder. They say insurance is a boring, soul-crushing business, dealing with adjusters, denials, paperwork. And yeah, mostly, they're right. It can grind you down. But every now and then, you get a file like Donna Devereaux's. A file where doing your job by the book aligns perfectly with a cosmic sense of justice, where you get to deny a claim not out of spite, but because the policy, the facts, and yeah, maybe a little bit of sweet karma demand it. It doesn't bring back my vintage vacuum tubes or my grandfather's drill. But sitting here in my rebuilt workshop, knowing Donna's claim went down in flames because of her own actions documented in my file, that's a different kind of restoration project, and it feels pretty damn solid.